Imagine you are driving a delivery truck in 1984. You take a wrong turn near the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and suddenly you trigger these highly sensitive nuclear radiation alarms.
Right, and armed guards just surround you.
Exactly. But the radioactive material they find, I mean, it isn't a weapon. It's actually the commercial construction rebar sitting right there in your cargo bed.
I mean, it sounds like a cold opens for a thriller, but it is completely real. That moment of detection was really the first time anyone realized this massive invisible disaster was already unfolding.
Welcome to this deep dive. I am your host, and today we are exploring the 1983 Ciudad Juárez Cobalt-60 incident. People often call it the Mexican Chernobyl. We are tracing how a single neglected medical device covertly contaminated an entire international supply chain.
Right, I am really excited to get into this. To understand how radioactive steel ends up on a random delivery truck, we really have to look back to 1977.
Okay, so a private hospital in Ciudad Juárez imports a radiotherapy unit for cancer treatments.
Yeah, and inside its heavy protective head is a capsule containing like 6,000 highly radioactive Cobalt-60 pellets. But the hospital didn't have the regulatory clearance or even the trained staff to actually operate the thing.
Okay, let's unpack this. They literally just shoved this highly dangerous machine into a general warehouse and ignored it for 6 years. Until late 1983, when a maintenance worker named Vicente Sotelo is told to, clear out some space.
Exactly. He dismantles the heavy head to sell for about $10 in scrap.
$10? I mean, this is essentially like leaving a live, unregistered explosive in a garage sale bin for anyone to just stumble upon.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And human curiosity just took over. Sotelo actually used a mechanical drill to pierce that sealed source capsule.
Oh, wow. So hundreds of those tiny radioactive cobalt pellets spilled directly into his white Datsun pickup truck.
Yep. And all over the road as he drove to the local scrapyard.
Wait, hold on. I get a private hospital skipping paperwork, but how does a massive scrapyard not have basic radiation detectors in the 1980s? I mean, weren't we deep into the Cold War?
You would totally think so.
Hmm.
But industrial scrapyards just weren't monitoring for nuclear isotopes back then. So as Sotelo arrived at the Phoenix scrapyard, they just used heavy electromagnetic cranes to move his metal.
Because elemental cobalt is ferromagnetic, right?
Right, so those loose pellets stuck right to the electromagnets. The cranes essentially ground the pellets into fine granules, which, just spread that radiation across the yard's entire inventory.
Unbelievable. And from there, that infected scrap gets sold to massive foundries. It gets smelted down, which literally dissolves the radiation directly into the commercial metal.
Exactly. Which is how we end up with over 6,000 tons of contaminated rebar and 30,000 restaurant table bases exported across North America.
But while this massive industrial cascade was happening internationally, there's a much more intimate tragedy unfolding locally. After that trip to the scrapyard, Sotelo's highly radioactive Datsun actually broke down.
Yeah, the battery dies, and he just leaves it parked in a residential neighborhood for 40 days. It basically became a localized, open-air radiation source.
That is absolutely terrifying. Neighborhood children actually played inside the truck bed.
They did. And as a result, they suffered severe acute radiation syndrome and long-term chromosomal damage. It is a tragic group that was later known as the Children of La Piedrera.
The immediate radiation exposure in that neighborhood was immense before authorities finally tracked the truck down using handheld survey meters and towed it away.
And you would think the nightmare was over once the truck was removed. But, well, that is when a completely different kind of disaster started.
So what does this all mean? How did the cleanup and containment fail so drastically once authorities finally realized what was happening?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights a catastrophic regulatory and engineering void. In a rush to bury thousands of tons of contaminated soil and metal, authorities hastily dug a hole at a desert site called La Piedrera.
And let me guess, they didn't really vet the location.
Not at all. They dug it right above a vital municipal aquifer and just poured a basic concrete cap over it.
But concrete is porous. I mean, it shifts and cracks over time.
Precisely. Without proper synthetic liners, the moment that concrete cracked, the groundwater flowing beneath it acted like a conveyor belt. It leached radioactive isotopes directly into the drinking water supply.
That is just wild. This deep dive reveals why modern cradle-to-grave digital tracking of medical waste is so essential to protecting you from these invisible, systemic threats.
Exactly. It completely shifted the paradigm of industrial safety. It is the very reason automated radiation monitors are standard at foundries and border crossings today.
So they built a whole system to make sure we never see a repeat of 1983.
True, but history has a way of lingering. This raises an important question, though.
Oh, what is that?
Well, official declassified records from the Mexican government confirm that 247 tons of this highly radioactive rebar was never actually recovered.
Wait, really? Never recovered at all?
Never. Knowing this contaminated steel was exported extensively, it leaves you to wonder, could some of that unrecovered 1984 steel be silently radiating inside the foundation of a building you walk into today?